everybody, it's me, Jesse Martineau. This is Rick. I'm on his show.
He's on my show.
All right. Rick, are you starting to vlog?
You're a vlogger now? Mama, I made a movie. Watch it. Hey everyone, Rick here, also known as that guy from Edmonton on the gram. Welcome. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to convince you to hit that button and subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and do it. Don't forget to like the video. Let's go. Now, some of you may be asking, what the hell is this guy doing? Hear me out. All the vlogs I've seen are people inspiring you, inspiring me, people giving us ideas, people creating things, people talking about things, people doing things for us, people showing us stuff, people giving us stuff. And what I don't see is anybody giving back to them. What I would like to do is I would like to take their experiences, take all of this and match it up into a little ball and give it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to give you a little look at some of what these people do. Here we go.
That's cool.
Yeah. How do you know what you're getting, man?
I don't. I'm just
concerned.
guess.
You guess? Me too. I guess a lot.
I guess a lot of the time. It's hard because I don't have a flip-out screen on this. My other one had it.
So I'm from Edmonton. No matter where you are, if you look all around you, there's people from your community or your city who are contributing to social media in a very positive way. They're providing you with content, they're providing you with ideas, they're providing you with paid advertisements. What I would like to do is show you how all that works. They take all this time to talk about what they believe in, but a lot of the times we don't take a minute to step back and actually meet the people. So what I would like to do is use my charisma and weasel my way in and get you a behind the scenes look at how these people spend their time giving you the content that you consume. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm Billy, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Jesse.
What's your name? Billy?
Hi, Jesse.
No, I like your work.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah, you too.
Appreciate it. What's your handle on IG?
Hoodie Jack.
Okay.
Still kind of new, just hobby thing.
Yeah.
First time out to.
Sweet, that's awesome, bud. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about stuff and Rick's gonna interview me, so don't go away anywhere else, for crying out loud.
We'll be back.
I think it's all angels just walk by.
And maybe in our world here, there lives a happy little mountain.
I'm stuck until I find the song.
Right.
And when I find the song, then I edit to that.
Did you build that sort of those guidelines before, or
No.
as you went, you just kind of
Like I
figured out
started
what
the same way. Like
Yeah.
my early ones, like I was at a table talking about life, like
Right.
about like what I was going through, and I still talk about what I'm going through. And so it took me like 5 or 6 episodes in before I even took the camera outside of my set.
Right.
And then, but then when I took it outside of the set, I remember the first time, people were like, whoa, that's really cool. And I just kind of drove around where I live and like took people to spots where I take photos, and then just talked a little bit. And then that's when I started to, that style was starting to be birthed at that time.
I mean, obviously, the set kind of gives you that control factor, that ability to be comfortable, to set the own rules, to sort of have that control over it. And I found, for me, that's what really, it allowed me to step outside of that awkwardness and sort of release kind of that character you kind of got to hop into. And that was sort of the hard thing for me, was to actually get into that character.
And that's to me, that's the real thing that sets people apart.
Jesse's show is Inside the Lens. You can catch it on YouTube.
Every Tuesday I release an episode around 11:30 Mountain Time, youtube.com/Jesse Martineau. Every single thing I'm on is just at Jesse Martineau. You just, whatever you're on, I'm on there.
How do you find the balance? I mean, you use your photography and your videography and your teaching, that is your income, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so I guess you're always immersed in it, right?
I have the privilege of not having to go work 10, 12 hours a day.
Right.
I get to focus on the stuff all the time.
Right.
And so people ask me, where do you get the time? Well, that's my job. That's the time that I have. Now, I do put in, I work about 16 to 18 hours a day. So I don't sleep much, but that was the process, how I went to school for it. And I didn't go to school.
Right.
I applied myself to be like a school myself and try to make it keep going. Yeah, I learned on the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the hard knocks.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of how I've always been, but I just had to make the time. And there's things that you don't like to do. There's things that aren't easy to do, and there's jobs that you take that you don't necessarily want to do, but you gotta do those things because you still have to put food on the table. So you have to do it, and then somehow also keep creating this content that you're not getting paid for. I didn't just vlog for a year. I worked in television for almost a decade. Like I worked in film, I worked in those things, so I had all those kind of things. Editing, I knew how to do that stuff. And so the one thing I always try to encourage people with is don't rush it. Don't feel that you have to rush through to achieve this picture of success that you have. You have to be patient. You have to be patient, you have to persevere, and you have to have a perspective of what's even really possible.
Do you have any tips for anybody sort of wanting to get into doing something like this? Is it even worth it? I mean, is it worth it to do as a hobby? Is it worth it to pursue financially?
To me, anything that people are obsessed with, you just gotta start to do it. I'm not talking about like drug use, but I'm talking like the creative side of things that you have. And so for my whole kind of channel, everything I do is trying to get people to start to see that in themselves and start to use it. So I think it's totally worth it if that's something you want to do. I think being comfortable with making mistakes and still getting it out there. I mean, I know a lot of people that only try to put out everything perfect. And I mean, to me, vlogging is almost a little bit like rock and roll, where rock and roll in a concert, like
you gotta fly with it.
You made, like, sometimes you missed a chord a little bit just to make it sound a little dirtier, just to rock and roll it. For me, like, the vlogging thing is kind of like that. Like, I do things wrong against the rules on purpose because I like breaking that kind of system and rolling with it.
Right.
So I'll do like weird cuts and like cut myself off mid, because what you find, and this is hilarious, like what you find, even if I cut myself off mid-sentence, but it's a sentence, people finish that sentence in their head, and then they can just keep rolling, and it keeps everything really exciting and interesting and keeps people engaged with what I'm showing, which is the hardest part. It's the hardest part interested. For especially mine that are like 10 minutes long. People have pretty short attention spans for the most part, and so how do you get them to watch that whole 10 minutes? You have to just keep things rolling along, so people are like wanting it. Oh, wow, I watched that whole thing. It was 10 minutes long. Now, fortunately, because of the style that I've come into, people hire me to make videos like that for them.
Right.
Which is, I mean, that's a dream come true, because that was something I really worked hard on to create, and now people recognize it and want that and want to pay for it, which is awesome. I said at the beginning, I'm like, if I could like somehow get some sort of monetary return in a year, that would be amazing. And now it's there, and so it's like, wow, that's...
Now, not everybody can have that expectation, you know? Like, is that an expectation you had? Obviously, you said it would be nice, but in the back of your mind, was it an expectation?
Yeah. It was a huge expectation, to be honest, and still is. I still am not where I want it to go. I don't like hitting little things, because when I hit them, like achieve them, I usually tend to just stop. I'm like, well, I did that. I like to set really lofty goals, and then try to go to those and try to hit those things. And so I'm still in the middle of that process of trying to get to some of the ones that I've set for myself.
Do you grab random subjects to talk about, or is the vast majority of them related directly to your life?
I've done so much speaking about these topics now. Before I started vlogging, I had taught in schools for about 7 years about character development, about really getting the gifts of students into the open. And so I have a plethora of topics now. That being said, they always evolve, they always shift, they always change into something else. And I found that as I go through a week, something usually comes up.
Right.
And I'm kind of always just patiently waiting for that to happen. I talk about things that can be not super popular. I want to affect change on a culture. Things I see that's messed up, I want to try to shed some sort of light on how we can shift it, how we can change it, maybe give some wisdom on how individuals can be a part of that change. And so I live a few minutes outside of Edmonton, and it was kind of like, that was my bubble. I'll affect this town. That happened.
Right.
Now I walk in that town, people know me. What about Edmonton? It's way bigger. That's starting to happen. Like, that's something that just starts to grow. So you have to have the big goals, but also ones, you have to also have the reality of like, you're probably not gonna be internet famous within overnight.
Right. How do you get over, yes, that judgment, and how do you get over, if that's even a problem, to get over the recognition and being recognized? People
that know you and you do something different, instantly it's like they don't know you almost.
Right.
And it can be very surprising to those people, like, why are you doing this?
Right.
I'd never seen this from you before. Depending on how close you take that stuff, depends on really how much you're gonna output. I've had people that were super close to me not be happy with what I'm doing.
Right.
And at first it was horribly painful. In fact, I almost quit at one point. I even made a video about it.
Which video is that?
It was one of the vlogs. It's called I'm Gonna Quit, I think.
I put a link here.
Yeah, there's a link here somewhere. Once you find the thing that you're meant to kind of do, it's like the second most important day of your life, the first being the day you were born.
Right.
And then when you find that thing and start to do it, that's when everything can change. That's when everything can really start to grow. The story I really like to tell is how these subjects affect me and the world around me.
Right.
And I'm just telling that story, essentially. I know it sounds easy, but people need to know how to actually create things. What is the process you go through to get to that spot?
Right.
And to me, if everybody could start to do that, where would we be?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it.
You, buddy.